Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Corman Productions to Strike First, Strike Hard, and Show No Mercy to Cobra Kai, Season 4, Episode 4, titled Bicephaly. The meaning of Bicephaly means the condition of having two heads. Not sure how that fits into the episode exactly, but it's interesting nonetheless. The episode's description reads as follows. Kreese brings Terry back to Cobra Kai, but his former partner isn't interested in repeating history. Johnny grows envious of Daniel mentoring Miguel. The episode was directed by Mario Woods, who last directed the previous episode. She won't direct another episode of the series until the following season. And the episode was written by Stacey Harmon. Before going any further, I will tell you a couple of things. One, this is not a spoiler-free podcast, so if you haven't watched the episode, I recommend you go and do so, and then come back and give me a listen. Secondly, if you like this podcast and want to support the channel, please like, share, and comment, as well as subscribing to my channel. Another excellent episode, folks. The theme of this week's episode is that if you're gonna behave in the same manner as the bad guys, which I say in quotation marks, except in the case of Kyler, you are, in fact, no better than they are. This theme is rather pervasive throughout. The episode begins with a tour for the middle schoolers of the high school, which includes Kenny, wearing his Cobra Kai shirt, and Leah, who calls him out eventually for his ketchup stain on it. Kenny has the misfortune of ending up in the bathroom with Bert and Nathaniel. They don't notice him at first, but eventually they notice the shirt. They begin to make fun of him, beginning the theme right here. If you're gonna behave like the bad guys, you are no better than them. I almost wish I was there to perform defenestration on Bert right now. Hey, that's a joke that just keeps on giving. Kenny gets it in his head to strike first, but he's intercepted by Hawk, who tells a frightened Kenny that he should get out of Cobra Kai while he still can, because they are going down. And credits. After the credits, Miyagi-Do, Eagle Fang are training together. More specifically, Miguel is being trained by Daniel, while Johnny watches on like a jealous lover. In fact, that's how he kind of behaves throughout the episode. He's getting a little bit green with the jealousy bug. Daniel seems to have no such issue with Johnny training his daughter. Johnny gets distracted to the point where Dimitri, of all people, ends up kicking him in the face. In response, Johnny turns Dimitri into a human punching and kicking bag and ends up getting kicked in the nads by Chris. After a hard day of training, Johnny actually shows some concern for Dimitri, brief as it may be, and then he asks Miguel if he's hungry. But Mr. LaRusso is taking him to get his mom's car done. Of course, this only exacerbates Johnny's problem. Cut to Cobra Kai, where Kyler is suggesting they check out Bloodsport at the drive-in, which Robbie knows about because, of course, Johnny was a fan. And for a while, the VHS copy of the movie was the only evidence of his existence. Tori might go, but she has work. Robbie asks, "Hey, where are you working?" And Tori gets all stiffy, saying that it's none of his business. Oakley dokley. Robbie totally didn't deserve that, but whatever. Kenny comes in, not looking happy, and Robbie asks, "What's up?" And they quickly suss out the fact that Hawk was involved with harassing him at the high school. Tori pipes in to say they still owe that Judas, Hawk, some payback. Kreese enters the scene and tells them to fall in. Kreese tells them that their enemies are coming together, but they are destined to fail, because there is only one way, and that way is the way of the fist. But Kreese says that doesn't mean that they also can't double down, and in comes Sensei Silver for the first time. Cut to Johnny and Carmen in bed together. "Houston, we have a problem." Apparently, Johnny is having some equipment malfunctions, if you catch my drift. This is a family channel, after all. Carmen suggests Viagra, which Johnny doesn't especially appreciate, because he is all man. Did you think he would appreciate that suggestion, being the macho man that he is? But the real issue is Johnny is worrying about his relationship with Miguel. And as much as jealousy is a part of the problem, it goes a little deeper than that. Carmen is suggesting that they tell Miguel, but Johnny thinks it might make things worse. because kids can be weird about that sort of thing. We'll get a little deeper into why he feels that way in a little bit. This is actually a good episode for digging into Johnny, all in all. We cut to Russo and Miguel fixing up his mom's car, bonding over their mothers being single around the same time and going on dates, which neither one of them especially appreciates. They successfully get the car running, and then Daniel has Miguel be his chauffeur, even though he's never driven a car before. Cut to Amanda and Sam at a child's birthday party, which is eventually where Daniel and Miguel are going to end up. Sam isn't happy to be there, saying that this is the last place that she would want to spend her weekend. We cut to Tori at her job, and it's set up to make us think that she's a stripper, but nope. From her perspective, it's even more humiliating than that. She's some kind of princess at this kid's party that Sam is in attendance of, though we didn't realize that at first. Sam's attitude changes real quick when she spots Tori. Did I say that this is the last place I wanted to be? I meant the first. And Amanda looks more than a little conflicted. Cut to Kenny and Robbie training. Kenny is getting a little cocky. This kind of reminds me of when I would play ping pong back in the day when I was a kid with my Uncle Gary. Every once in a while, I would get a little too full of myself, and in response, he'd whiz a ball past my head, just to remind me I still had a ways to go. This is a similar moment. Robbie gets annoyed with Kenny, so Robbie drops the pads and does a sweep kick to knock Kenny to the ground. You're not there yet, kid. You still got a ways to go. Robbie tells him that Miyagi-Do taught him that you can learn all the moves, but none of it matters if you don't have balance. Alright, so on the one hand, Robbie has said he would teach them the version of karate, Miyagi-Do, so that they can beat Miyagi-Do karate. But I genuinely think that Robbie is trying to help Kenny here. In fact, all of his motivations are about helping and mentoring Kenny. I think he's trying to combine all styles, really, when it comes down to it, for his own purposes. More on that later. He more or less says this to Johnny later. He hears a chuckle, and it turns out to be Terry. Robbie defends what he just said, saying it's part of a Cobra Kai lesson, and Terry tells him it's okay. Balance is important. If a man can't stand, he can't fight, echoing what he said in Karate Kid 3. He dismisses Kenny to talk to Robbie on his own. He challenges Robbie to a little bit of a match, and he more or less kicks Robbie's ass, as he does everybody throughout his tenure on Cobra Kai, until pretty much the end. He tells him that Robbie is afraid, and while Robbie denies it, Terry sees through him and says that he's lying to himself. If he wants to be a champion, he needs to dig out that fear and face it. Cut to Johnny looking at his Facebook page of Miguel and his time together. He types into the imitation Google, asking, how do you tell your student that you're banging his mom? And all he gets is porn. Well, that was pretty predictable. Cut to a flashback of his childhood. His father has abandoned him, and his mom is about to marry Sid. She finds some artifacts under his bed of his father's. She yells at him and throws it all away, fighting with Johnny in the process. Mother of the Year, that one. Boy. Alright, I get it, Johnny. I get what your issue is here. But the thing is, Miguel is older than you were then, and you are not in any way Sid. Rest in peace, Ed Asner. We cut to Miguel and Daniel driving. He's got some soft music playing from the same time frame as Johnny, but not hard rock. They see a yellow light and Miguel speeds through, because that's what Johnny would do, but not what Daniel would do. Daniel points out if he's driving with his daughter, take the extra precautions. Daniel brings up Miyagi, telling him that Mr. Miyagi taught him that just because you don't have a dad doesn't mean that there isn't someone else there who can fill that role. Johnny's fear, of course, being that Daniel will take that role from him, and he'll have lost two sons, his actual son, who he failed over and over again, and his adopted one, who he sees sort of as his redemption for his past failures. And it's an unspoken relationship when it comes down to it. He, at this point, has been Mr. Miyagi to Miguel, just a very different type of mentor, as Daniel is a very different type of mentor. Miguel speaks of his dad, who he knows he lives in New Mexico, and was caught up in illegal stuff. Daniel and Miguel are very similar, as they are both to Johnny, whether Daniel would like to admit that or not. Miguel slows down for a yellow light and stops, earning a smile from Daniel. Cut to Sam harassing Tori by listening in on the story she's telling the kids and heckling her. Once again, if you're gonna act like the bad guys, you aren't any better than them. Tori turns the tables and ends up attacking Sam with a glitter bomb with the aid of the kids. Amanda does not know how to react. On the one hand, her daughter is behaving reprehensibly. On the other, well, you know, she's supposed to be on her daughter's side and all. Cut to Johnny making sloppy joes. He gets a knock at the door, and it's Robbie, to tell him that his students are harassing Kenny, specifically Hawk. They better stop, or there will be payback. Johnny asks what Kreese is putting him up to, and Robbie says nothing. He's just there to help the kid, and they better knock it off. Johnny urges him not to do anything stupid. He feels Kreese is brainwashing him. But Robbie says that whereas Johnny put all of his trust in Kreese, Robbie doesn't trust anybody. He's using Cobra Kai to get what he wants. Johnny tells him that he's playing with poison. Robbie's fear is that he was going to end up like Johnny, but he isn't going to be afraid of that anymore, because he is better than Johnny. This only adds fuel to the fire of Johnny's issues in this episode. He says, "I guess there's nothing left to talk about." Robbie walks away, and Johnny slams the door. Daniel and Miguel arrive at the party. Sam ends up kissing Miguel as a means to get to Tori, and it works. He storms off, and Amanda ends up following her. Tori hostilely asks what she wants. She apologizes for Sam. Tori says that she should tell that to Sam, and Amanda claims that she will. Yeah, okay. I highly doubt that. What do you want to lay odds that we will never see this conversation? In fact, I'm pretty sure that conversation will never take place, either on screen or off it. Amanda tells her that she knows her situation with her mom is tough, and this angers Tori enough to get her to come at Amanda with an angry outburst that has Amanda stepping back in fear. I like that little bit of acting there. Amanda says okay and backs off, but she tells her that the world isn't out to get her. There's got to be someone in your family that can help. Not everyone is as lucky as that. Amanda. Tori says that there's no one that she can trust, but it doesn't matter because she can handle her own shit. Amanda says that no one can help you if you don't let them. If you ask, you might be surprised. Yeah, maybe, but that's pretty easy for Amanda to say. All in all, this is an interesting relationship that I appreciate seeing this season. Cut to Johnny. Miguel comes home, and his bid to tell Miguel about what's going on between his mom and him is sidelined when Miguel says he already had dinner with the LaRussos. Johnny's beneath-the-surface jealousy turns into full-blown jealousy when Miguel tells him the things that LaRusso has gotten him into, basically introduced him to, which is kinda not the same as what Johnny shows him. Miguel is pretty oblivious here, but that's not too surprising for a teenager. I gotta say, William Zabaka knocks this episode out of the park. His performance here is excellent. I want to see this guy get more work. Cut to the drive-in. Tori made it, after all, in a car with Robbie. Kyler is hazing Kenny, getting him to get him snacks. Robbie tells him not to worry. It's just a hazing. Keep your head up, and you'll earn respect. Meanwhile, Kenny is holding a crazy amount of food when he happens to see Nathaniel and Bert. That's the least of his problems, because Hawk, who has not in any way earned his redemption at this point, and is still very much acting like the bully, knocks those snacks out of Kenny's hands. Robbie notices and comes to Kenny's aid, soon joined by Tori and the rest of the gang, followed by more Miyagi-Do. The tension rises, and in comes an oblivious Dimitri, who is then dejected to end up in another rumble. Miguel says that they can't do this, that they will beat them on the mat. Robbie asks, "You do know what happened the last time we fought, right?" And this somehow inspires Miguel to change his tune, telling them to meet at the baseball diamond in a half an hour. Cobra Kai does so, only to get soaked by the sprinklers, while Miyagi-Do watches and laughs. Cut to Kreese, who wants to escalate. Terry says no. He doesn't want to get mired in Kreese's bullshit. He wants to bring Cobra Kai back to glory, but not to repeat their mistakes, which Kreese does not see. Terry says that Cobra Kai was never about revenge, but turning their fears into strengths. Kreese says, so they can just humiliate our students, and we do nothing. Terry says cryptically, I didn't say we were going to do nothing. Cut to Miyagi-Do celebrating their victory. Johnny comes in, and he isn't impressed. Nor am I. The whole thing started with Hawk deciding to bully a middle schooler. If he doesn't do that, nothing that happens follows. Daniel comes out and thinks they exercise restraint. Yeah, sorry, no. I agree more with Johnny here. who says they basically picked a fight and didn't show. The little water prank was just poking the bear. That's not going to make anything better. Oh, and once again, if Hawk doesn't pull his crap, none of the rest would have happened. But don't worry, his comeuppance, the much-deserved one, is coming. Johnny and Daniel are about to get into it when Daniel notices something from his past. He has Karate Kid 3 flashbacks. Daniel looks angry as Terry says, "Gentlemen, it seems we have a few things to discuss." And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the episode. Hoo boy! Another excellent episode. And the streak only continues with the next one. And you know what? I'm thinking after doing this rewatch that Season 4 might actually be my favorite season. If you like this video and want to support the channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join one of my Corman Productions Facebook pages. You can buy something from the Corman Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a coffee, which is a new way to support content creators such as myself. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to my channel. This is Dave from Corman Productions, signing off.